You hold this small, simple brown nut in your hand, but it's totally hiding a pretty massive secret. It's not a nut at all. It's actually a seed. Think of a fuzzy peach, with that hard pit right in the middle. Well, the almond tree grows a fruit exactly like that. We just don't ever eat the fuzzy outside part. We're only after that hard pit, and really just the little seed hiding deep inside of it. It's literally a botanical cousin to the peach, which is kind of wild when you realize it. But if you go way, way back, wild almonds were actually quite dangerous. They tasted incredibly bitter, and they held these really strong poisons, so early humans couldn't eat them at all. But then, this completely lucky mutation changed absolutely everything. One wild tree just happened to make sweet seeds, completely missing that bitter poison. Humans found this one safe tree, and they smartly planted those sweet seeds to grow more safe trees, leaving all the bitter ones behind. And just like that, almond farming was born. Fast forward to today, and these trees are honestly pretty picky. They demand a really special home to thrive. They absolutely need long, hot summers and cool winters, but they completely hate the deep, freezing cold. So they found their perfect sunny spot in the wide valleys of California. The weather there is just flawless for them, which is exactly why almost all the world's almonds come from that one specific place. The whole journey starts in the dead of winter. If you look at the orchards, the trees look completely lifeless, with bare branches just stretching up into the cold sky. But they're really just sleeping, resting up and building their strength. They're waiting for this one special signal, the dirt finally warming up. When that happens in early spring, small buds appear and suddenly burst open. Those dark orchards absolutely explode into a sea of light pink and white flowers covering literally every single tree. The flowers are gorgeous, for sure, but they have a giant problem to solve. An almond flower just cannot make a seed all on its own. It absolutely needs pollen from a completely different tree. But here's the catch. The pollen dust is too heavy for the wind to blow it, and obviously the trees can't exactly get up and walk over to share it with each other. So they need billions of tiny, hungry flying helpers. Farmers actually bring wooden bee boxes right into the orchards to pull off this massive insect migration. It's honestly like a chaotic, crowded music festival. Just millions of attendees suddenly showing up all at once, buzzing around, looking for food and drinks. These bees wake up so incredibly hungry, and the almond flowers smell exactly like sweet food to them. They fly right into those pink blossoms to drink the sweet nectar, and as they do, this yellow pollen just naturally sticks all over their fuzzy little bodies. When a bee wanders over to visit a new tree, it casually drops some of that old pollen, and the new flower happily takes the golden dust. The magic connection happens right in that moment, all because of that shared pollen. Once that connection is made, the pretty flower petals just fall away, and you're left with this tiny green bump. The bees finish their hard work and head out, and the trees begin this really slow, quiet growing phase. That little green bump gets larger every single day, until it looks like a hard green peach. It feels soft and fuzzy on the outside, but deep down inside, a hard shell is slowly forming. Now the tree is working incredibly hard, drinking up gallons and gallons of water while soaking in bright energy from the hot sun. But water is a massive struggle here. Almond trees are incredibly thirsty, and since rain doesn't really fall during a California summer, the farmers have to step in. They push water through deep pipes directly into the dirt, where the roots drink it up and send it all the way up the wooden trunk to feed those growing green fruits. Even with enough water, the trees face a really scary danger early on. Sometimes those spring nights get much too cold, and a sudden frost can easily freeze the fragile baby fruits. If they freeze, they just drop to the dirt and die. To fight off that deadly icy frost, farmers actually turn on giant, noisy fans in the dark, pushing warm air down to wrap the fragile trees in a gentle, invisible hug of warmth. If they survive the spring, summer arrives with this blazing, intense heat. The green fruit just bakes in the sun and actually stops growing bigger on the outside. Instead, the tree focuses absolutely everything on the hidden seed inside. It starts swelling that seed up, filling it to the brim with heavy, healthy oils and strong proteins, making the seed really dense and heavy. Then, August brings a huge change. The fuzzy green fruit finally dries out, and that outer hull splits wide open, letting the hard inner shell peek out. It's perfectly like shrugging off a thick winter coat when the weather finally gets too warm, a clear signal that the tree is cutting off the water. The fruit just dries on the branch, telling everyone that harvest time is super close.
But you can't exactly pick these by hand. The trees are way too tall, and there are literally millions of nuts up there. So, humans bring in a giant machine. A heavy tractor rolls right into the orchard, equipped with this massive, heavy metal arm that reaches out and grabs the tree trunk right in its grip. The machine shakes the whole tree incredibly fast. It's like a giant trying to wake up a very sleepy friend. The trunk vibrates violently, snapping the dry fruits loose. And as the tree shakes, the nuts just let go, falling heavily to the ground like thick rain until the branches are completely empty. The ground ends up totally covered in shells, but the nuts don't leave the farm just yet. They have to hang out in the hot dirt for a bit so the sun can bake them even more. Wet nuts will spoil, but dry nuts last a long time. Once they're perfectly dry, another machine with huge spinning brushes sweeps the dusty dirt, pushing everything into long, neat rows. Then, a giant vacuum machine just drives right over those rows and sucks all the nuts up into a huge cart. From the dusty farm, the harvest travels to a big, noisy factory. The nuts are actually still wearing their fuzzy jackets at this point, with the hard shell safely closed inside. So machines gently rub the nuts together until that dry, fuzzy hull breaks away, leaving only the hard shell behind. And what's really sweet is that those discarded fuzzy hulls don't just go to the trash. Farmers give them to cows who totally love eating the dried fruit as a snack. Absolutely nothing goes to waste. Everything finds a useful, perfect little purpose. Back inside the factory, it's time to get through that hard shell. Heavy rollers press down carefully until the shell just shatters into tiny pieces, letting the brown seed fall totally free. Then it gets super high-tech. Lasers actually look at every single seed, scanning for any bad pieces. When they spot one, precise puffs of air just blow the bad seeds right out of the way. What you're left with are only the surviving, perfect seeds. Each one is a raw almond wearing a thin, protective brown skin that keeps the tasty inside completely safe. It's finally ready for the world. Sometimes, though, we want that brown skin gone. To do that, the seeds are dropped into boiling hot water, which totally loosens up that tight skin. Then, giant rollers just softly rub the skin right off, revealing this bright, beautiful white seed. That's a blanched almond. It looks entirely different, and it tastes so much smoother. And from there, the almond just keeps shape-shifting. Sharp blades can slice them into flat flakes, or tiny knives can chop them into small blocks. Heavy stones can even grind them all the way down into fine, gluten-free dust that turns into almond flour. Bakers absolutely love using that fine dust to make incredibly soft, fancy cakes. It can even transform into a drink by soaking the seeds in fresh water, blending them into a thick mush, and squeezing that mush through a cloth. A white liquid drips out. It's creamy almond milk. It looks and acts similar to cow milk, but it comes completely from a plant. Or, if you crush roasted seeds with huge grinders, the healthy oils leak out, turning the dry seeds into a thick, creamy butter. It's honestly such a vast, wild journey from a poisonous wild seed hiding in ancient forests to this massive global food that feeds millions of people. It really highlights the power of human choice because we picked that safe, sweet seed and planted it everywhere. It shows deep patience, waiting years for a tree to grow and months for the fruit to dry. It's a testament to the heavy reality of shared water in nature and the necessary, undeniable teamwork between these massive trees and tiny, fuzzy, flying bees. The almond is just this pure story of transformation. A tiny seed uses sun and water to build a mighty tree, and that tree uses tiny bees to create thousands of new seeds. The little snack in your hand is truly a triumph of shared effort, a tiny piece of wonder. It makes you wonder, what other wild secrets are your everyday snacks hiding? If you loved discovering this with me, definitely drop a like, share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe so we can uncover more cool secrets together.